Hello, hello, lovely Love Advice TV community. Coach Adrian here, Friday, September 6th, to do yet another live webinar. Another YouTube live for you to be able to provide you with a little bit more guidance today, and also, importantly, to be able to answer your most pressing questions. And today I wanted to talk about mindset. I wanted to talk about mindset because all of the people that are successful, all of the people this week and in general that have been able to get your ex back, that have been able to get their ex back, are people that have been in the right mindset, that have been fighting the good fight and not focusing on what their partner is doing, saying, what their ex basically does, and instead focus on what they have to do to be able to become their higher, better self. And when talking about mindset during the process of, after a breakup and when trying to get an ex back, I wanted to talk about the two false realities, the two bubbles that most people find themselves in. There is the reality of the person that is doing the breakup, initiating the breakup. That is your ex. And in general, from your ex's point of view, they can only see the negative aspects of the relationship. And a lot of you have witnessed that, dealing with an ex who only sees bad things, who only remembers the mistakes that were made and the negative traits of your relationship. It's almost as if it was all negative, and they don't want to even admit that there was any sort of positivity in the relationship. And that is because they are in a sort of bubble, a false reality, where they think that the relationship was all bad, and that everything, that they have basically everything to gain from the breakup. The grass is greener syndrome becomes real, and because they're dealing with the clean slate, and the potential of what this new reality could be for them, versus the mistakes and the pain that they endured during the breakup. So that is one false reality that I see. Of course, there were mistakes that were made. Of course, they must have been somewhat unhappy in the relationship. Otherwise, they would not have decided to break up. But it wasn't all bad, right? It was not all bad. And it's important for you to accept the fact that they're in this negative mindset at the moment, that they are in this negative reality, and to take a step back and ensure that you give them time and space to break out of this negative reality before trying to reconnect with them, before trying to engage with them and to build a new communication strategy. At the same time, you are also in a false reality. You are also in a bubble where you feel that you have lost everything. In essence, it's what we refer to as the identity crisis post breakup, where all your dreams, plans, projects have to be altered. And you tend to only focus on the good of the relationship, everything that you've lost. Many people that I coach act as if their relationship was perfect, act as if their partner was perfect, when in reality, a lot of times it was not. And a lot of times I deal with people who even considered breaking up themselves, or who were tremendously unhappy in their relationship. But as soon as the breakup occurs, somehow everything shifts, and you're only focused on what you've lost because you're in this vulnerable, negative mindset. And changing your mindset is key to your ability to get your ex back. Because as long as you're in this mindset of thinking that you've lost everything, as long as you're in this false reality, you cannot be your best self. You have very little attraction power because, in essence, you're acting as if you needed your ex to be happy and to exist. And that is tremendously unappealing to them. because you can't guilt trip someone into taking you back, as I always like to say. So change your mindset, focus on you, focus on rebuilding that sense of confidence and that sense of well-being before trying to seriously make headway in reestablishing a healthy communication strategy and in pushing for, to showcase that change that you are starting to see and to be aware of. So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. It's this two different bubbles that people find themselves in. Your negative bubble, coming from a place of desperation, weakness, vulnerability, feeling that you have lost everything and that it's all your fault when it's not. And also your ex's bubble, thinking that, the relationship was all bad and that they're going to be so much happier without you. And in many cases, it's just not the case. So I wanted to leave a little extra time today to address some questions. And I'm going to start with Tamit Fatima. Please address the issue of multiple breakups in your next video. I followed the no contact and failed at it miserably once. So I'm not going to wait until my next video. I'm going to talk about it right now. Multiple breakups is something that we deal with on a regular basis. A lot of times people are in relationships that are too passionate and passions take over. And despite the love that is there, you continuously keep breaking up. And a lot of times it's because you haven't taken a step back to really address these issues. And you get triggered by your significant other. So it becomes very difficult for you guys to address these issues as a couple while together. And it goes back to being able to not let your emotions overpower your intelligence, understanding what the issues are, and working on yourself separately, if need be, to really address these issues. Now, you don't have to go hard, core, cold turkey, no contact in some cases. If your significant other is reaching out to you and he's not reaching out in a toxic way, it's okay for you guys to be in touch. But you can't, again, engage with him from a place of vulnerability and desperation. And you need to make sure that you haven't lost basically track of the personal growth aspect of the process. It is possible to get back together after multiple breakups. I deal with clients who are able to turn things around, after multiple breakups every week. And it's essential for you to remember that if you're going through multiple breakups, it means that you've already won them back before. The challenge isn't to win them back. It's to create a stable and healthy relationship, to make sure that you don't break up again. That should be your challenge. So we are here for you. We have tons of resources on our website to help you as well. Okay. Lauren asks me, hello, coach. What advice could you give to a relationship in which there are multiple time periods of long distance due to work and school, which was one of the main causes of the breakup? So long distance is hard. I know I was in a long distance relationship. I was in a long distance breakup myself. The key is first and foremost to make sure that you ensure that there's an end point, that you guys have a pretty good idea of when the long distance may end. Usually, when you don't have a clear understanding of when the long distance may end, there are differences in expectations. And that's when you get into trouble in any relationship, but especially in long distance relationships. If you guys don't know an end date, if you haven't agreed to that, or if you don't know the next time that you will see each other, usually one person may have one idea and another person may have a completely different idea. And that becomes dangerous. Also, it's very important to find a healthy balance, right? To understand your ex's or your significant other's expectations and to not smother them or to not neglect them. And communication is key to make sure that you guys basically are on the same page. So long distance relationships, usually when you have gone through a long distance relationship, your relationship is stronger and you can be more equipped to rebuild a healthy relationship because you are more patient. So don't lose hope and make sure that you're on the same page and that you communicate effectively throughout. So that's at a glance what I would say about that. Okay. Marina Crudo says, been together 11 years. Break up 2 months ago. Still have contact, still sleeps together sometimes. What to do next? So, Marina, you're in a very good place because you've been together for 11 years. That's a very, long relationship. And at the same time, there's still intimacy and contact. So you do have that platform. So it's more about, again, proving to this significant other that you guys can be happy together and rebuilding trust, and making sure that you don't cling on, latch on, and don't become too needy. Again, I often talk about the fact that the person that is most detached usually tends to have control, not only over the balance of power, but usually sets the pace in the dynamic. And if you're still sleeping together, you need to make sure that you are more detached than your ex. If you're more emotional, more needy, more clingy, more impatient, you're going to get in trouble. And it's probably best to take a step back, to make sure that you're protecting yourself. If you're most detached, then spending time together, being intimate, and all that stuff can help them basically, start to reconnect with you and push this relationship forward. So you're in a good place. Don't panic. Your window of opportunity is going to be wide open as long as you avoid common mistakes. Um, all right. Yal says, I can't get my ex back. He broke up with me a year ago. He came back 2 months ago to talk. We spoke nearly every day, and now he is very distant. We didn't meet yet. I stopped talking to him. Good. You should take a step back. Usually, in these circumstances, what I see is that your ex starts to miss you. They start to realize that the breakup probably wasn't the best idea, that the grass is not greener, that they haven't found someone better. And what they do then is they come back to try to see if there's still a possibility to make things work. And unfortunately, a lot of people cling on, latch on, and provide their ex with too much reassurance. You act as if you were already still together, and you're not making him fight for you. So your challenge is to make sure that you let this person fight for you, right? And that you don't take this ownership of this process of making things work. And a lot of time, the mindset needs to be that you're not fighting to win him or her back. You are focusing on positioning yourself in a way where they have to fight for you, where they have to fight to win you back. So, you're take a step back, Yal, and I think that good things are going to happen as long as you continue to be patient and let him fight for you. Okay. Okay. There's a lot of questions that are pouring through. Just give me a second. I'm trying to be able to connect to one here. What if ignoring someone caused the breakup? She wanted to stay friends and we stay in contact. Is this the right approach? Very good question. So a lot of people, Alejandro, struggle with this. If you were too distant during a relationship, right? If you neglected your partner, if they felt that you weren't invested enough, should you still do a no contact or a radio silence or pull back? And the answer is always dependent or based on your level of emotional stability. Because most people tend to overcorrect and then become needy and latch on and clingy, and that doesn't work, because your ex feels that you're being manipulative or desperate, and that's not your true self, and so they can't connect with that. So once you've been able to gather your composure, to start to bounce back, to regain your confidence, to be social, and to create this new identity, yes, being friends is good because it provides you with the platform that you need to rebuild a new relationship. And ultimately, when you have been too distant, the key is to basically validate your ex's feelings and emotions. Don't just come and apologize continuously, or try to make it up to them. When you are able to communicate with them and they are still emotional or talking about their pain or what you did wrong, you need to be able to connect with that emotion and to validate the way they feel so that you can start to rebuild trust. Okay? And ultimately, this person probably still has feelings for you. They don't trust you. They don't trust your ability to make them happy. And when you are able to reestablish that friendship, slowly but surely you can rebuild trust. Okay, and okay, so Liliana Rose, my soon-to-be ex-husband, is being cold and distant right now. He asked for a divorce a month and a half ago. And I'm trying to fight, but he is closed off. I don't know what to do. Take a step back right away. Stop trying to fight for his attention, because the more you do that, the more he's going to be cold. The more he'll be bitter and negative and distant, and the more he's going to push you away. Ultimately, it's very important for you to regain your swagger. You need to regain your confidence, and again, you need to show him, your ex-husband, that you can exist and be happy without him. Don't be desperate. Don't try to force contact with someone who doesn't want to be in communication with you, and show him that you can do your own thing, and only reward the positive behaviors and attitudes, right? So if he's being cold and distant, don't be the perfect housewife. Give him space. Go do you. And when he is being more, warm and attentive to you and trying to communicate with you, then you can communicate back. But again, if he's dead set on going through with the divorce, don't try to change his mind through words. Again, just show him through actions that you guys don't have to be enemies, that you guys still can have fun together if he's willing to engage with you. And be patient. Okay, again, here, it's about not being desperate and waiting for him to be somewhat investing in the process of rebuilding this marriage before openly investing in this rebuilding of the marriage yourself. And if it takes going through with a divorce, so be it. Again, just because you go through a divorce doesn't mean that you can't make things work afterwards. I know that marriage has a religious implication for a lot of people, and in this case, it may be a bit different. But ultimately, you cannot put someone that doesn't want to be with you on a pedestal. And they have to be investing in that process themselves. And if they're not willing to do so at the moment, it means you need to take a step back, and they need to realize that they could lose you to open their eyes. Okay. Thank you. My girlfriend lost feeling for me. We broke up 5 months ago. We kept talking for 4 months afterwards, and then I begged her to take me back. She said no. I've taken 30 days no contact so far. Now what? Dylan. Okay, so time is relative in the process of getting an ex back. Sometimes people that have been broken up with a significant other for over a year reach out to me, and I'm very optimistic and hopeful because they haven't approached the process the right way. It's basically time that has been wasted. They haven't started to do the right actions. And so I'm hopeful that things can be turned around quite quickly. And other times people make a lot of mistakes just within days after the breakup, and it becomes more complicated and it will take more time to make things right. So in your case, Dylan, here, the begging and the pleading that you did really must have caused a lot of damage. And although you had, 5 months had passed, or 4 months had passed, you still did a lot of damage, and you're basically starting from scratch, if not doing more damage. So 30 days no contact is good because it provides you with the time and space to get into the right mindset, like we talked about, to get out of this false reality that you've lost everything. And at the same time, it provides your ex with the opportunity to realize that they may lose you. So because there was a lot of begging and pleading, I would suggest doing more than just 30 days no contact. And in essence, you are going to want to be able to rebuild the bridge and to reestablish contact with your ex in a way that shows them that you're not desperate, in a way that shows them that you have moved forward and that you are happy without them. And you can't reach out to them from an emotional place. You cannot try to win them back right away. First, we reestablish contact. First, we showcase that you are happy and that you guys can be on good terms. And eventually, you get them back. First, there's the transformation. First, you've regained your confidence and happiness. Then it becomes realistic to win her back, not the other way around. And you've been acting as if you first needed to win her back in order to be happy again. So that's the change that needs to happen in your roadmap. Okay. LOL says, "Hi, coach. My ex broke up with me 7 months ago and still wants to be in contact with me, but I've pushed him away because I'm not sure of his intentions. Should I just agree to be friends?" Fantastic question. So setting boundaries is very important, especially when you're still very vulnerable. And ultimately, if you feel ready, you may want to agree to be friends if you feel ready and if you're able to establish boundaries. Some people aren't able to do that. But ultimately, it's not through his words that you're going to be able to see what his intentions are. It's through his actions, how he behaves, that will say a lot. And I would definitely urge you to not sleep together, to not have, intimacy before you basically, test those intentions through his actions. How committed is he to truly being friends? How available is he for you? Is he in a selfish mindset? Is it all about him and what he wants? Or have things changed since the breakup in the way that he approaches, his communication with you? So that's how you're going to be able to tell. But obviously, at some point, you're going to have to take a chance, And love, you always have to have some level of vulnerability. Otherwise, it's not a relationship. But take your time. Don't stretch yourself more than you can handle at the moment. And if you need advice, if you need support, you know that we offer private coaching as well. But I feel like you've done a good job. If your ex is fighting to have you in his life, it means that you're doing some things right. And it means that more often than not, they're trying to rebuild a relationship or at least to seek your validations. Because being just friends with an ex is something that is very, very difficult. And not a lot of people really want that. Either they want their independence and to be completely done, or they want to make things work. And that's why, leveraging the friend zone or being friends with an ex, if you're in control of the process, is something that can be really, really, something that can work for you. So stronger today, positive message. I love it. I love it. Support each other, continue to support each other and to be there for each other, because that's what we're all about. Just is mini question. What do you do if your ex sees you with someone else during no contact, considering that you were dating just to shift your energy and attract him back? Good. I want your ex to see you with someone else. The bottom line is that you are no longer together. They don't have this right over you, and you have to act like a single person. A lot of times, when an ex sees you with someone else and you're genuinely, putting yourself out there, not trying to make them feel jealous, that's when a shift happens. That's when they realize, holy crap, I'm going to lose this person. And they bust out of that bubble right away. They realize it wasn't all that bad. There's a lot of positive things that you bring to the table. And I'm probably going to lose this person. And a lot of times that's when I see a change in dynamic and outlook. So continue to date, as long as you are at peace with this and you're approaching it the right way and not just trying to egg them on and make them jealous. It can only be positive for you, from my experience. Okay. Does age matter with strategy? I'm a sophomore in college. My girlfriend left me after 3.5 years for someone else. We go to the same college. So age doesn't matter as much as, I would say, your level of emotional maturity, right? So I deal with couples who are in their early 20s and that have a few kids and that have been through a lot together. And I coach them exactly the same way that I would a couple that is in their 50s, because there's a level of emotional maturity there. If you're significant, but at the same time, I coach people who sometimes are in their late 30s and they haven't been exposed to many relationships. And so we have to take it easy and, basically get the right building blocks in place and learn the fundamentals to make sure that they approach this process the right way and that they don't get overwhelmed. So, age doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is your level of emotional maturity, how in control you are during this process. Obviously, if you're in college and your girlfriend left you for someone else and you're at the same college, that presents a few specific issues, because you have to perhaps see this new relationship and or because perhaps you have to deal with this person on a day-to-day basis. So, seek information in that regard. Focus your attention on that. But 3.5 years is a very long time. You guys, if you're sophomore in college, you're still very young. So, ultimately, there's a deep-rooted connection there, and a rebound, is not something that you necessarily need to be threatened by, as long as you're still moving forward and approaching this process the right way. Okay. My kid's mother left me after 13 years, but still calls me to talk, but nothing about our relationship. Can I win her back after almost a year? JBK022, thank you for your question. You know that I'm always very sensitive to, people that have children together. I am a father myself, and I understand the repercussions that a separation can have on the well-being of your kids. So the fact that your significant other is reaching out to you is a good sign, even if they're not talking about the relationship. It's okay. Again, getting back together is the end of the process, not the beginning, right? So the fact that you have this communication platform, the fact that she is reaching out to you, it's a good thing, because you can now rebuild a connection, prove to them that you guys can be happy together, that you can avoid drama and negativity, that you can control your insecurities, that you have a regained sense of confidence, and that you're now making it about you and your needs. And slowly but surely, you guys will get closer, as long as you avoid common mistakes and as long as you are happy without them. And so I think that you're in a good place. I've seen many people reconnect after a year or more apart, especially when there's children involved. So you're where you should be. Continue to follow the roadmap that you have created for yourself, and be patient. Okay. Adrian Nialtua says, I still live with my ex after 6 months. We broke up after being needy. I've realized my mistake, stopped pursuing messaging at all, but we still see each other sometimes in the evening having a drink. Fantastic. So if you were being too needy, the roadmap needs to be centered around you being more independent. Spend less time in your house, have a social life, don't seek, some sort of validation from her. And yes, if you can spend quality time together at the house, keep things light, smile, have positive body language, and reconnect as friends, while not seeking any sort of reassurance from them. So don't talk about getting back together. Don't ask if they still love you or anything like that, because that's when you get in trouble and you start to push them away. But the fact that you still live together, and the fact that there's still this time that you spend together, is a good sign. Okay, Adrian, keep fighting the good fight, and I believe that you can turn things around here. I'm going to take 2 more questions, and then I'm going to have to go. Harriet says, my boyfriend of 10 years broke up with me in June. Then said he was conflicted and wanted to fix things if we could. He broke up again last month after getting angry about the past. Is he gone for good? So Harriet, he's not gone for good. 10 years is a long time, and you've seen that if you are patient, there's the possibility of him coming back. The key, I think, that you guys got back together too quickly, and you didn't address the deep-rooted issues that plagued your relationship in the first place, and that brought you in this situation. So this time you need to make sure that you really make him fight for you, that you are really patient, that you create this new identity without him, that you start to validate and make yourself happy. Don't lean on this man, and really make him prove to you that this is going to be different. If he has this resentment linked to the past, perhaps he needs to seek some sort of counseling and therapy. Ultimately, you're going to need to be able to validate those feelings and emotions and make him feel heard too. Make him feel like you've understood what he has been through, and how those, so that we can basically clear those bottled up emotions and get a clean slate. We're here to help. Private coaching, it'd be our pleasure to work with you or with him when the time comes. But take your time, and don't be afraid of experiencing that single life at the moment, because I think that you really need that. Okay. Mo says, Coach, me and my ex are back, but it's really hard to seal the deal with him. What can we do? So, Mo, congrats for having reached that stage. Sealing the deal is a lot of people have an issue with that because you get impatient. And just like the first time around when you guys started dating, there's an organic process that needs to take place for him or her to be comfortable enough to commit to you again. And this is where you really need to be patient and not let your emotions get the best of you, while at the same time, making sure that you set clear boundaries and expectations. So again, don't latch on and continue to make this person work for you. You cannot act as if you were already in a relationship if you're not in a relationship. Meaning you need to make sure that you don't give them everything, otherwise there's nothing left to fight for. But again, we're here. If you want help to seal the deal, if you have, if you want us to really dive deep into your specific situation, you know where to find us, private coaching on withmyexagain.com. Coach Natalie will be back next week, and Alex and I will still also be there. I will continue to answer your questions. If you can't afford a coaching session, next Friday at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time in the US, I'll come here live and I'll try to answer as many questions as I can, again, like this, just like that. So if I wasn't able to answer your questions today, I'm sorry. Did the best I could. Tried to limit my intervention to just 5 or 6 minutes to be able to get as many questions answered as I could. Again, we love you guys. We're here to support you guys. Continue to fight the good fight. Thank you for your support. Thank you for tuning in to Love Advice TV. We know how difficult it is, and it's the challenge of a lifetime. But through a breakup, through a separation, and when facing a potential divorce, there's a tremendous opportunity in that crisis, an opportunity for you to become better, and an opportunity for you to start to live a life that is more aligned to your values. That's what it's about. So, as always, thank you for being tuned in. See you next week, or maybe before, in a coaching session, and all the best. Keep fighting the good fight, my friends. Bye-bye.